Hi, everyone. You are now tuning in to Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. We present our final discussion with our special guest, Senior Talent Sourcer over at Paramount, Jay Garcia. We hope you enjoy part 2 of our discussion. Thank you for joining us today. Did you have a mentor to help inspire you in what you're doing? But if you're going to, it sounds like you have that on the casting side to learn more about it and really, doing a deeper dive into that. But to get into the talent portion of it and the recruitment and everything, did you have a mentor before that? I know
I
you
did.
mentioned.
I did.
Mhm.
When I first got into recruiting, back in '94, I call her like my second mom because she is kind of like my second mom. She was
Yeah.
basically mentoring to be the best of I can be and what I do. And I probably have to thank her for being where I am now, because if it wasn't her for her mentorship and her training, I probably would be doing something totally different.
Now, who is
And
this? Who is this that you're mentoring?
Her name is Belinda Armour, and I've kind of lost touch with her. I haven't talked to her in a while, but we still keep in touch on Facebook. She's actually living in Arizona now, but she was actually living here in Seattle.
Nice.
And we just she mentored me for about 6 years, 6 years, five or
Wow,
six
that's
years,
really nice.
5 or 6 years. And then there were some other senior folks in at the time when I was still just a rookie in the game,
Yeah.
that I was following on LinkedIn. And I would just reach out to them and just kind of meet up with them. And I would ask them to train me and just, tell me, like, how do you become an expert in your game? And I think, honestly, if you want to be best at your game, you got to hang out with people that are better than you. You can't hang out with people that are in the same
Yes.
pond or on the same level, because you're just basically learning the same thing. If you want
If
to level
that
up,
person, if there's nobody in your circle that intimidates you professionally, you need to change your circle.
yeah. If they make you
At least
uncomfortable,
one
then
person. Yeah. If you
yeah,
don't have that one person that you are just like, God, I want to be like them, or dang, I need to like work harder so I could get to where the level they're at. You need to change your circle,
and it took
or
it
at
took a
least
lot
recruit somebody.
of um off hours and volunteering and learning, to do what I do, because
Mhm.
I want to be the best, right? And when you are really passionate about something, or you're really wanting to learn something, you you're gonna put in those hours. Whether you're
Mhm.
working on a Saturday or a Sunday, you want to be the best, you're going to do it, right?
Yes.
Now, if you're not really motivated to do what you're doing, then I suggest you reconsider looking at another career or looking at another role, because in the long run, you're gonna end up leaving, because you're not satisfied with what you do. And I think you just
Mhm.
gotta love what you do in order for you to be the best at what you can be. So
Absolutely.
I I've always had those mentors, I've always had those peoples, and I still have some folks that I keep in touch with, that keep me motivated to do what I do, and why I appreciate this job so much, and being where I'm at. Because if it wasn't those guys that keep me motivated, I probably would be, I don't know, doing something totally different to keep me motivated, and probably wouldn't be good. It probably wouldn't
Well,
be
I
good.
will say in the short amount of time that I've known you, you are definitely very inspirational. And I'm so honored that you came on here just to speak because from the conversations that me and you have, which last for hours at a time, you know, you can just tell that you're a very positive person and very driven, which is important in any industry, right? So, can you tell us going back to when you were speaking earlier about the training that you help with, because I know that you actually train up your team. You have
Yeah,
mentioned on
I think it's
how to brand yourself, like with this beautiful background and other elements that has
It's
helped you
cool.
along
I
the way.
I just landed this project, and I'm sort of spearheading it now, and my VP was generous enough to let me manage it.
Hmm.
So what I do is, and it involves our international employees and domestic, so it's a global thing. And so what I'm doing
Love that.
is training all of our employees to who want to sign up, right? Because it's all on this kind of like what you're doing now. It's kind of like more like a Zoom thing session. So I'm setting up these sessions um from now until the end of the year, and
Mhm.
hopefully we can keep going. But it's basically training our employees to be brand ambassadors for the company, as well as being brand ambassadors for themselves.
Love
Um,
that. Love
and
it.
utilizing LinkedIn, because LinkedIn's a powerful tool that you can use to network with other people in your industry or just in other industries, and just see what's happening out there. Because I think LinkedIn is very well informed, and they have just a wealth of knowledge of what's happening in the industry, whether it be entertainment or in e-commerce or travel or, I don't know, quantum computing. They have just a
Mhm.
wealth of connections, and you can network with all these folks in one place, on that social platform. So I'm training all of our employees to become brand ambassadors online as well as offline by tuning their LinkedIn profiles to how they want it. And they have to be creative with it, because I don't want
Yes.
them to be just all the same. I'm not training them to be, the same as me. I want it to be, utilize your creativity. Put
Yes.
it is your online resume, so you can just do what you do with it. But as far as in branding, we'd hope that they would put our Paramount logos, since they are currently working for us, that they put their Paramount logos up, and
Mhm.
keep backgrounds up to date, update their pictures or their profiles, maybe feature some of our B reels or our highlights of our movies or their favorite TV shows that they like to watch, so that
Absolutely.
people can encourage them to go be engaged on their profile and see what they do, and hopefully that they will look into Paramount and see what we're doing as far as in the brand, or as far as in what they're doing as well, as
Mhm.
in their role at Paramount. So
And
that's
it was
what
funny
right
because
now.
when me and you connected on LinkedIn, and that was one of the reasons why I reached out, was how great your profile looked. And I was like, I found myself clicking on every job that you had and all of the reels, so it's definitely very effective on how you package yourself on that platform. And I think a lot of people need
Thank
to,
you.
yeah, I think a lot of people need to utilize LinkedIn more on the professional side. Some people might post like cat stories or whatever, but they'll somehow tie it back to workforce, right? It's just really funny.
And
So,
I wanted, sorry, Monty, didn't mean to interrupt, but I
no, absolutely. Go
also
ahead.
wanted to say that, it's a small world, you know, especially with the technology that we have today, um, watch what you put on. I always say be conscious of what you put on online, because it's out there. Once it's out there, and everybody knows about your life or whatever you want to put on there. But
Absolutely.
if you want to, establish a brand for yourself, um, then might want to be conscious of what you put out, because it is a small world, and once you put out, it's almost instantaneous. The whole world knows what it is, and
Absolutely.
not retract that back. It's almost kind of like tainting your whole reputation and your brand of who you are, as a professional. So
I'd
that's
say anybody listening, just do what a lot of celebrities do and have brand awareness. They are very cautious about how they will be reflecting on their brand. I tell people that is the most important thing. And don't allow anybody to lean into negativity on your brand. Don't align yourself with it or anything like that. To be
mhm.
honest, you are the person, you're your own brand ambassador. I think that's a good one, Jay, that you mentioned. You are your own brand ambassador. And a lot
Yeah,
of people they just don't get that. You know, I always refrain from responding to certain things, even if it gets me angry or something like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let that go. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to engage it, because people will screenshot stuff in a minute and only screenshot half of the conversation. They could like curse you out online, but your response is what they'll put out, like, oh, look what they said, and this is so heartless. You know what I mean?
Sometimes things get, misunderstood. A
Yeah.
lot of things do get misunderstood when somebody posts online, because it's
Hmm.
so much different when you're talking to somebody, you know, in real time versus
Hmm.
online and just reading the text, because a lot of people can misinterpret that,
Hmm.
in so many different ways. So it's kind of like, say, a picture says 1,000 words, kind of like that. When somebody
Yeah.
posts a text or post something online, they can interpret it in so many different ways that it gets
So many,
misunderstood, right? And
so
maybe
many.
that was your intention to
Hmm.
mean it, but a lot of people kind of tend to make up their own kind of their own whatever you thought you said, in their own mind. So I
Absolutely.
that's why I always say, be careful of what you say, because a lot of people misunderstand things.
Hmm.
It's all about being transparent in communication, but you know, um, just watch what you say, because you are we don't have the luxury of having PR folks
Yeah.
or agents
Who's
to
like,
to do
delete
all
that.
that stuff for us.
Yeah.
Um, so we have to be our own brand ambassadors, our own PR people to market ourselves or to brand ourselves of who we are.
And now, a word from one of our sponsors. After starting my podcast, I needed to hire the pros to market the content. Are you looking for digital success? Look no further. World Boss HQ is your strategic partner. Their experts turn your vision into a digital masterpiece. From stunning websites to powerful marketing, they've got you covered. Startups or established businesses, they are your one stop solution. Visit worldbosshq.com. That is WORLDBOSSHQ.com, and unleash your potential today. World Boss HQ Digital Marketing. Your online empire awaits. We are excited to bring you this world exclusive teaser from Bad Rabbit Pictures and Movie Pods. They are presented Age of Prophecy, a sci fi fantasy podcast done in the style of the radio dramas of yesteryear. Coming soon to all streaming platforms. Visit www.moviepods.com or www.anukechronicles.com for all the release dates. You won't want to miss this one. Your myths were born from our history. Let's check it out.
Life. A vile, messy sequence of events before we die. All designed for something beyond us. It has to be. Or else, what's the point? You don't know me, but I know you. I am responsible for your triumphs and miseries. I am Zira Enlil Zor, and to truly understand your own story, you must know mine. Your myths were born from my history.
Now, an exciting message from our sponsors. When I decided to launch this podcast, I had the tools to find talent and market the show, but needed a skilled editor to bring it all to life. That's when I turned to Jacob Daly at redhawk.uk. His collaborative approach and swift revisions transformed my vision into reality. Redhawk.uk, your one stop solution for creative content services. Reach out to them. Hi there, and welcome back to Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. We are here with Jay Garcia on Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. So Jay, I do have another question for you, which I'm hopeful you will share transparently. I know that you mentioned with the casting agent situation is definitely something that you're interested in getting to know more about. No VP and director of his division. He is not looking to leave. He just wants to learn about it, just in case they're
Yeah.
listening in, because people, especially in corporate, are just like, Jay has given his resignation. No, he hasn't. he just he just wants to know more about casting. But can you tell us about any outside projects you work on?
Mm. Um, some of the stuff that I do offline, or just kind of.
Yeah, not related to the job. Okay, I'm gonna say it because I know it. Jay has a wonderful swimwear line, so I wanted you to maybe talk to people about that and how long you've been with that whole fashion section.
I'll tell you a story because I always love telling stories, and then since I'm in entertainment, we love telling stories.
How long
Uh,
is the story? Is it like 10, 15 minutes? Because
oh
no,
no,
I'm
quick,
just joking. As a
quick.
writer, I'm long-winded. Go. Keeping you, man.
So, me and my twin brother, this is back in 07. We decided to like start our own male collection, you know, line because I'm a pretty small guy, I have a small frame, so nothing would ever fit inside, when you're going to Nordstrom or to at Macy's or Bon Marché, that's what they call it now, or back then. And so we decided, let's just make our own male collection of stuff. So we ended up starting that for a few years, and then a couple years later, my brother decided to sell half the company, the other half of the company to me. And he ended up getting into photography, which he became like this international photographer. He started shooting for like Maxim magazine and Lowrider and Inked magazine and all these really cool magazines. And I ended up deciding to change the company to a women's collection where it would be just strictly swimwear and clubwear.
Nice.
I just knew that women love to wear unique things.
Mhm.
And
We sure do.
I love, I loved designing. I don't do designing anymore just because work has got me so busy here at Paramount, but I do it now as a hobby. And I'm still doing it as a hobby just because I love making people feel good. And I can't let go of that passion just because it's just I just love fashion. It's just integrated
Absolutely.
into my life. So that's the one of the off projects I do have. My twin brother and I do a lot of things together as far as in projects that we collaborate on, and the other ones that we are doing is my brother and I are cigar and whiskey influencers. So we
I love
basically
that.
go to all these cigar events. We hang out with some really cool people, whether they're celebrities or athletes. These guys are always smoking cigars. They're at the cigar lounges, so we always like to go meet these people. And I'm going to tell you this quick story, and it relates to the whole film industry because a lot of
Hold that
people.
moment. Hold the moment because we need to know about the swimwear line. In
Oh
case
yeah, yeah.
somebody wants to support your business, and if there's a website and you still have inventory, it might be someone out there that would love to wear something from
Sure.
Jay
Oh yeah.
Garcia.
So okay, I'm gonna circle back. Sorry, to my fashion thing. So I named it after my dad, and it's obviously my last name is Garcia, but my dad's name is Jay Soriano Garcia. So I took his middle name, which is Soriano, and I just kind of made it into Jay Soriano Collection. So if you actually go type in just the letter J and then Soriano, kind of like The Sopranos, but the Soprano TV show, but it's Soriano with an I, and minus the P. And collection, you add that collection in
Spell
there.
it out for the people spell it out for the
Yeah,
people that's
if you
listening.
Google it, I'm probably the first one that pops up. That's if you look up my name, it'll probably pop up there.
Okay.
So you'll see it. And you'll probably see like some of my other Facebook stuff on there too, and some of the some of the photo shoots that I've done. You'll see it all on there.
Nice.
I've done everything from Portland Fashion Week to Seattle Fashion Week to New York. I got invited to go to Singapore Fashion Week, but I didn't get to do that. I went to Vancouver Fashion Week. So and it's been great since I'm kind of like still in the game. It's been over 10 years since I've been still in the fashion game, but like I said, I do it more as a hobby now than doing it as a business. But it was great designing and making people feel good, and seeing them you know seeing them wear my designs, and the collection.
I
And I
love
got
that.
off to go to Nordstrom's. I just decided, it just wasn't the route that I wanted to go.
Mhm.
I just kind of kept it as the brand that it is, and went from there.
Which is a brand that is exclusive. An
Yeah.
exclusive brand is what we call it. But getting back into the cigar and whiskey thing, because I
Yeah.
know that you are an
So
enthusiast of that,
yeah. So there are
which
three
is
things
really
that
amazing.
I do most of the time. It's here at Paramount. Okay,
Mhm.
that's just my life here at Paramount. And then obviously, on the weekends or when I have time, I do my fashion thing. And
Mhm.
then the other, I would say, I don't know, 60% is or actually when more than 60%. So I would say more like 25, 30% is
Mhm.
the cigar whiskey things. Because my brother and I travel all around the country. We go to all these cigar events. We meet really cool people like celebrities and actors that like to smoke cigars.
Mhm.
And so my brother and I support different brands of the cigar industry. And sometimes we kind of rep them as a company. So since we smoke all their cigars, we just kind of know, what blends they are. Um, and we kind of educate people if they want to get into cigar smoking. We kind of teach them how to the proper etiquette, how to cut and light a cigar. So that's some of the cool things that we do as a hobby.
I love
One of the
that.
things that I want to say was, and it kind of relates to the whole film industry, because I'm sure some people who ever watch this show will know this name, because I was actually kind of in awe when I was talking to him. I was in Manhattan not too long ago, last November. I was
Mhm.
at the cigar lounge, and it's called Caveman Cigars. I'm gonna put these guys on the map because these guys are super, super cool.
I love that.
I was actually in Lower Manhattan. I go there, I'm sitting down, and the manager goes, "Hey, you can't sit there." And I go, "Why?" And he's like, "The councilman of New Jersey sits there. That's his seat."
You're
So I was,
like,
so I was like, "Okay." So I ended up sitting table next to that table.
mhm.
The councilman and his buddies come in, and they basically sit down at their table, and they see me sitting by myself, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to sit with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I didn't know who these guys were. Okay, I was kind of just
You're
sitting there
like,
doing my job. I was just kind of there having a good time, and
mhm.
my my boss said, "Hey, take the rest of the week off, explore New York, go do whatever." So I'm
Mhm.
going
And so
there.
you did your pastime, of course, which
Oh,
is
I had to do
where
my
is
little
this?
tour, right? So I was like, I got to go to the cigar lounge. So
Yeah.
I go there, and there was like probably like 5 or 6 people at this table. One of them was a high security guy who has his own business, and he's like a security guard for like athletes and politicians and stuff like that. And then you've got the councilman of New Jersey, um, who's sitting next to me, and he asks me like, "Hey, like, so what are you doing here? What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I work for Paramount. I'm just here for the week visiting my New York office." And he's like, and the security guy goes, "Hey, you must know my best friend." I'm like, "Who the hell is that?" And he goes, "Wait, you work for Paramount?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, my best friend is um is actually in your movie." I'm like, "Who's your best friend?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Dude," he's like, he goes, "Esai Morales." And I'm like, "Who the heck is that?" Right. And
I'm
I had
looking
to,
too. I'm like, ooh.
oh, so if you know like La Bamba, 21 Jump Street. He was in CSI New York.
Oh,
He's actually the main villain in Mission Impossible 7 and 8.
oh my goodness. That's
So,
great.
so he's Tom Cruise's counterpart. So he's the villain, and Tom Cruise is the good guy, right?
Oh my
And
goodness.
so he's going against Ethan. But it's funny. So
That's dope.
Tony goes, hey, look, he was like, man, you got to know him. I'm like, okay. So he calls up Esai Morales. Okay?
You're like,
Last November, they were filming. I think they were like in Croatia. He calls Esai Morales and he hands me the phone. And he goes, dude, man, talk to Esai Morales, man. I was like, hello? And he goes, hey, this is Esai Morales, man. I want to thank Paramount, for. I was like, you know what? Hey, I'm not in casting. I'm not on the theatrical side. I work in corporate, but I was like, hey, you know what? Appreciate
congrats.
it. I was like, I'm starstruck right now. Thank you so much for,
Taking the time.
if possible. And he's like, yeah, man, we're wrapping up with Tom Cruise right now. But I just want to say, he goes, dude, if you can get me some more gigs, because he was like one of those actors that was, you don't see much of Esai doing movies anymore, but he lived in New York. But anyways, at the time, going back to my whole cigar thing, I was just surprised, like, he
The
knew
access you get from just doing
just
like,
being there and
yeah.
hanging with this guy that I hardly ever knew, that I just met that night, and he knew Wallace, and he, handed me the phone. I literally had to screenshot the phone, because I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Esai Morales. And I talked to him for 10, 15 minutes. And I think at the time, Esai thought that I was in the movie side of the business. And he goes, hey man, if you can like plug my name in and gigs, I'm like, I'll do my best, I guess, get you hooked up. But we ended that conversation. He's like, dude, enjoy the night with my friends. He goes, that's the place where I go smoke cigars too. And
Caveman cigars, right?
and he goes, dude, you're in good hands. So it was an actual, it was a great experience just to hang out with these guys and, just learn about them. And you just never know who you're going to meet in the cigar industry. I've met some really cool athletes like Buster Rhymes. I've met, Karl Malone, the mailman from Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Alonzo Mourning. We were just in Vegas not too long ago, and he was at the cigar lounge, and everybody was there. Everybody was there, was just having a good time, just networking, getting to know about their life. And that's all we do. When we're out, having our favorite drink and smoking our favorite cigar, that's what we do. And people may not know this, but if you want to, meet some really cool, influential people, that's where we're at. We're just hanging out in these cigar lounges. And I know some people are against smoking and all that good stuff, but
yeah, but they have wine in there too. You don't have to smoke.
Everybody has like their own, I'll just say this, everybody has like their own vices,
Yes.
And their own therapy. And that's my therapy. I have a good cigar and a good glass of scotch, at night, and call it a day.
And if you think about it, it goes back to what I originally said, which is taking care of yourself mentally and physically, being able to decompress, So if that's cigars and whiskey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If it's whatever it is, it's just something to help with your mental and physical clarity for yourself. So I love them.
Make no mistake about it. Even though I, do all of these things, I still keep up with, I work out almost 4 days a week. I do running. I'm a very active type person. I run, I bike, I go hiking with my friends. You also, you got to keep up with those things. If you want to do these things that you love doing and you're passionate about, you've also got to have balance, right? You also got to have like a good, a good physical, you got to keep up with your physical, health, mental health too.
Yeah.
Not only this, but mental health. So
now, guys, did you notice how much Jay lit up over here talking about his pastime, which is amazing, and you can understand what brings him joy in life, which is an excellent thing. It sounds like he's in the career that he loves, and also he's doing his pastimes that he loves. And I think for those that are watching, it's important to find those mentors, to find things that you're passionate about, because it no longer becomes work, right? And Jay, I just really appreciate you being here. We definitely are going to have to link up again. Listen,
Oh, sorry about that.
Isa Morales, if you're listening to this, I am horrible with names. Okay, everybody knows that. I am horrible. If he would have said, soon as he said Mission Impossible, I was like, oh, I know that guy. So please excuse me. And Jay also didn't know the name, just so FYI. So if you're mad at us, also know that Jay, no, I'm just joking. But I always tell people, you never know who is going to be listening to this, who is going to be inspired by conversations with filmmakers. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Jay, for bringing
you're
your
welcome.
knowledge. Yes. And when you become a casting agent, I'm going to say, Jay, bring your butt back here to tell us more about your experience. And I do appreciate you for being here, honestly.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Bonti. Anytime, anytime.
You've just tuned into an episode of Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. We'd like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their knowledge. This has been a production of Vonti Pictures, hosted by me, Vonti McCray, a screenwriter and producer. We'd also like to thank Bad Rabbit Pictures for the animated content and creator of upcoming podcast Age of Prophecy, along with our sponsor, redhawk.uk, with all episodes being edited by Jacob Daly, director, producer, and a man of many talents. Come back next week as this saga continues for the Conversations with Filmmakers podcast.